Hey guys, how you guys doing? Did you guys ever wanted to know how much to charge for a long distance move? Well, I'm going to teach you today. In this episode of the Real Jay Burnham Show, I'm going to teach you guys, you movers, how to charge for a long distance move when when you should be. Anyway, we'll get into it. All right, guys. Maybe I'll edit that part out. Nah, I'll leave it in. I mean, it's not the real Jay Burnham if I'm not showing you all of my foibles, right? All right, guys. So here's the thing. Let's just be straight up. There are some of you that are not going to be the most licensed and insured. You're not going to be the most legal of movers, but yet you want to get into the big money moves, which is the long distance moves. And they're the ones that pay you the cashola, right? So, how much do you charge when you're not actually using the tariff? Well, just to give you a little bit of story and a little bit background, when I first started my moving business, I wasn't licensed and insured either. I didn't even know what licensing and insured was, but I wanted to get in. I was doing a lot of the small, local, one bedroom, two bedroom moves, and that was fine. We're doing a lot of them, but it really wasn't giving me a lot of profit, which I could then pay for trucks and dollies and blankets and tools and straps and all the equipment that I needed. Don't get me wrong, that's good, but it's going to take you, the ramp is going to take you a lot longer to get the things you need to ramp up um, when you're just doing these small local moves. All right. So my business didn't really start taking off until I started concentrating on doing the long distance out of state moves. And because I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't know that you had to be licensed and insured and so on and so forth like that. When I first started my business, I didn't have any of that knowledge. Um, I had to figure out a way to charge my customers for these long distance moves. One, that was affordable for them, and two, that would make me the maximum amount of profit. So it's really easy. This video is not going to take a long time. Um, you know, to charge them, you got to basically you got to figure out your expenses. How much is it going to cost in payroll to send your guys to wherever you're sending them to? Is it Tennessee? Is it Florida, Georgia, Los Angeles, Seattle? Um, are you paying them by daily? Are they paying them by the hour? But basically, you got to figure out one, how much is it going to cost you in payroll, right? That's one. Two, how much you got to figure out your mileage there and back. All right. So based on your mileage, dividing it by the appropriate amounts that you're supposed to be dividing, you got to figure out how much gas you're going to consume, and then basically charge uh, for the gas. Then you're going to have motels for the guys if you pay for motels, which you should be doing. Um, then you need to pay for any tolls that might be needed, so on and so forth. If you're paying the guys a per diem, are you giving them so much money per day for food and stuff? How much is that included into it? And once you got that figure, then how I did it originally, I figured all my expenses for the move. How much is it going to cost me for the truck rental? How much is it going to cost me for the gas? How much is it going to charge me for payroll? How much for motels? How much for per diem? And so on and so forth, and tolls. Once I got all those expenses figured out, what I would do then is I would times it by two, and that would be the figure I charged. That is one way of doing it. However, this is a better way to charge for your long distance move or your out of state moves, or how much. This is how much you should charge. I suggest you charge between $1,500 and $2,000 per day for one 26-foot truck and two guys. If you're sending two guys out to wherever you're going with a 26-foot truck, you should charge between $1,500 to $2,000 per day. Now, what happens if you need an extra truck? Good question. You're going to need you might need an extra driver there. So I would suggest not the full 1,500. I would suggest adding $1,000 per day for that truck. So now instead of, let's say you're charging $1,500, now you're charging $2,500. per day. Okay. If you charge $1,500 to $2,000 for one 26-foot truck with two guys, you're going to stay really close to what the long distance van line companies will charge based on their tariff. All right. So you will be pretty much be right consistent with how much the van liners are charging their customers for the same amount of stuff to go wherever it is for for them. Okay. For instance, I did an estimate here a couple months back, um, for that I had gotten that was for a lady that wanted to move from Battle Creek, Michigan to Los Angeles. I estimated that the weight was going to be around $17,000, 17,000 pounds rather, sorry. And so based on the 17,000 pounds, I knew I was going to need two 26-foot trucks. I was going to have to send two guys out there to Los Angeles and then hire some local labor to do the unloading for us, which is a little bit better. So there, it was going to take 3.5 days to drive out there, 3.5 days back. So you're looking at 7 days plus motels and all that. I was charging them. I charged them. I believe I forget what it was exactly, but it was right around $2,500 per day. So if you just do the math on that, 2,500 per day, 2,500 right times 7 days. Yeah, let me just figure it here. I'm just figuring out. Whoop, my calculator went zappity doo dah. Okay. Oops. All right. So times 7. Um, that was 17,500 bucks. So I actually charged them. I was actually going to charge them about $25,000. Um, So, I mean, there you go. Oh, that's right. I was going to charge him. I was going to charge him $4,000 a day, is what it came out for me. Uh, yeah, I was charging him full price for both trucks. Um, but that's up to you. You make the choice. But the point being is, for one truck, two guys, one 26-foot truck, you're going to want $1,500 to $2,000 per day. Okay. That way, if you charge that amount, you're going to be really close to how much van lines would charge for the similar move. That way, that keeps you compatible, but yet gets you enough profit margin to actually make it worthwhile. Okay. Now, this is for you guys that are not necessarily using the tariff. And I know that you're out there. I know you guys are out there, and it's okay. I implore you, as soon as you can, though, that you actually get yourselves licensed and insured and you're actually operating off a tariff. It's better for you, it's better for your customer, and it's just better off for the industry in general. So if you're going to be a serious mover, get licensed and insured, operate off a tariff. However, for you, those of you who are just starting out and need to get the cash going, I understand that too. You got to hustle. You got to be hustling out there, right? You saw how, hopefully, you saw an earlier video where I talked about how to charge for local moves. This is how to charge for your out of state and your out of state moves, your long distance moves. Okay. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of how much to charge. Um, but if you did that for a long distance, that's just a 1 day, like couple hours up to a city and then a couple hours drive back. If you just use that 1,500, 2,000, that's not a good formula. What I would suggest you do is go to your movers association and get a copy of their tariff and operate off that tariff. For instance, I just did a move here not that long ago where we went up to West Branch, Michigan, which is a 2.5 hour drive from where we're at now, picked a guy up, and and then we brought him back to Lansing. I charged that guy $2,500. Now, if I would have used my formula 1,500 to 2,000, I would have lost out on $500 if I charged at the full price. So you can do yourself a little bit of damage if you're using that. I mean, if you're using my formula strictly and like so on and so forth. If you're just using it straight and narrow, you're not varying. Like, you can actually make less money than you should be making. So there's another thing you need to be looking at too. Okay, but I think on average, $1,500 to $2,000 is a good starting point for your long distance moves for those of you who are not using a tariff. Again, please get licensed, insured, get yourself a tariff, and operate off that tariff. You would be making more money in the long run. Okay, guys, so that's my video for today. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. Obviously, share this with all your family and friends. And of course, by all means, please subscribe to my channel. Very good, guys. Thank you. I love you. God bless. Have a great day.